Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Bluedragonfive here,
And Jacob Wile too.
and welcome to the Lightyear Spoilercast. We've finally seen the movie Lightyear, and we're ready to talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, quite the momentous occasion. This is something that's been in the works for a few years, as most animated movies are, but this science has been speculated for many years. Like, what if we ever saw the real Buzz Lightyear in the Toy Story universe. Like what the original IP, the original property is that inspired the toy, and Angus Mclean had brought that to life. So Jacob, why don't you tell the folks overall how you felt, kind of like any hype going into the movie, and just in general, like overall how you felt about it before we get into the deep spoilers of it all. And folks, just when we get into it, if you have anywhere you want us to jump to in the spoilery kind of terrain, just shout out in the comments, and we'll kind of start there, and we'll kind of go a little loosey goosey, kind of go through wherever the conversation takes us. Anyway, Jacob, tell the folks how you felt.
Well, of course, you know me. I am a big fan of Pixar in general. I'm usually a big fan of them. Usually a big fan of their work. I mean, I think the only Pixar movie I haven't seen at all is The Good Dinosaur. And apparently, what basically everyone tells me, I'm not missing much of that one anyway.
Like, you haven't seen that at all?
No, and I have not. I mean, I'll probably get around to it one day to complete my Pixar viewing catalog, but I have yet to see that one.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I usually like Pete Stone's work.
That's funny, given that Pete Stone is in this film.
Yep, and he's also directing that new Elemental movie too.
Yes, I don't know. Before Elemental, you might want to watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I probably will one of these days. I just haven't yet.
Okay.
So it's like I've seen Pixar's movies, like some more than others, and so I've always been. And of course, once I saw that, and of course, everybody's seen Toy Story, and we're all big fans of Toy Story here. So naturally, I was excited going in to see Lightyear and see this movie. Of course, it looked like a different take on the property, which some of us weren't expecting. And so, and before I give my overall thoughts, I will say some parts of it worked, some parts of it just seemed maybe a little undercooked. But I mean, overall, I'd say it was an enjoyable experience. I wouldn't say it ranks up there with the heights of Toy Story or really anything else of Pixar's work.
To be fair, highest bar there could be. So
But you are right. It is one of their highest bars, like bars and not bards. Like besides the stuff like Inside Out and Soul and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal favorite is still Ratatouille.
Of course. Well, that's what I'm saying. The point being, again, there's a lot of stiff. Anyway, again, Pixar, again, it's a diamond factor. Everything they make is just great. It's a question of where it ranks on the old totem pole. Like, even the thing at the very bottom is still gonna be better than kind of, at least for the longest time, what the animated films were putting out.
Yes, which is a good point. Like even people, I mean, it's the lowest ranking film, and people still even enjoy Cars 2.
That's what I'm saying. Cars 2, again, it's more kiddie fare, but it's it's a service movie. It's a summer movie. It's a fun summer movie. Got spy cars, not a whole lot to it.
And I still think it's better than a lot of people give it credit for.
No, yeah, it is for sure. Just it's not exactly their most dazzling, but still, it puts on a show.
It does, and a good one at that. And I'm getting off top.
Yes, we are. So, Jacob, the movie at hand. So overall, again, I think that about rounds that up. What do you think? Or is there anything else you want to get in there?
Like I said, I wouldn't put I'm probably in the middle tier so far, like maybe high middle tier of Pixar's work. I mean, as far as the sci-fi stuff goes, I would definitely say they did better with WALL-E. In terms of their sci-fi stuff, I'd probably watch that before I'd watch this. But overall, I'd say I wouldn't call this a waste of time, and I enjoyed seeing it.
Okay.
Now, Dragon, time for your thoughts. And considering you yourself are obviously a big Toy Story fan and a huge Buzz Lightyear nerd, what was your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll tell you, of course, it's no secret. I live and breathe Pixar. I adore that Luxo lamp based company. So I was so hyped going into this because again, there's always been that long time fan speculation of like basically I can't tell you how many times, especially like between Toy Story 2 and 3, but particularly around Toy Story 3, that you saw so many like in those years leading up to it, you saw those like CG kind of renderings of like of a realistic like what would Buzz look like if he were a human inside the spacesuit. It's like, oh man, that'd be cool. We'll never see that. It's never gonna happen. It's like kind of a guy can dream, can you quote Mr. Potato Head? You know, it's like you always kind of wondered what it would be like, and I think fundamentally, you wondered because of two reasons. Because
Well,
one, you had
to be fair, Mr. Potato was dreaming about a Mrs. Potato Head.
well, yes, of course. Again, I'm just paraphrasing, but
and,
yes.
and
Anywho,
Atomic Beast is now about to see the in-universe movie Andy watched, and I think Lightyear is meant to be a '90s movie, not the modern style we're getting.
well, yeah, I think Tommy, you're absolutely right about that. And we'll get into that once we, kind of foray into the conversation here. But it's, on the whole, so of course, I grew up. Toy Story 2 was one of my earliest in theater experiences, and of course,
Same actually.
Yeah. And I remember the build of Toy Story 2, in which you had at that time you had the Buzz Lightyear Star Command cartoon, and then you had like a lot of the build up to both as well. So with that, I loved the Buzz Lightyear Star Command animated show because again I love Toy Story and I love Buzz Lightyear, and it was great. Like, oh my god, this is the show that essentially the toy is based on. This is awesome. And and again, I think ultimately we always wanted to see Buzz be able to do the stuff like the real Buzz Lightyear do, just given the foundation of Toy Story. About like it's the deluded toy who thinks he can do all these things, but he can't. And then Toy Story, the tops of Toy Story 2 and 3, especially 2, gave you a sampling of what it would look like if Buzz could actually do all the cool stuff he thought he could in the first movie. So there was always that appeal, and then you had a show that legitimately showed you, okay, this is Buzz in action as a space ranger. So essentially, a space ranger is kind of like kind of a Green Lantern in a spacesuit, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So never in a million years that I think that I, never in a million years thought that my favorite Avenger even would play Buzz Lightyear, which I just thought was like the most perfect casting in the world for like casting like the human Buzz Lightyear. That they would then like, hey, we're doing the toy, but we can't get the actor, so we're gonna get another guy who's gonna sound like Tim Allen. Which I'll tell you, the most irksome thing with this movie for me, this is not against the movie at all. It's just like the marketing and everything. Is that I can't tell you how frustrating it is every time someone asks the dumb question, like, wait a minute, where's Tim Allen? It's like, guys, you're missing the point here. Guys, it's different. They're trying to differentiate it. Anyway.
Yeah, basically the director said basically how the director put it, it's like the movies in universe were like there's a trilogy of Lightyear movies. The animated series was an interpretation of those movies, and the toys were based on the TV series.
Now he might have been overshooting it with the whole trilogy of Lightyear movies because I don't think he's like planning on them, but I think he's hopeful that maybe they would lead to a trilogy. But
I think he meant like within the Toy Story universe.
I know. I'm just saying that I'm just saying in general that some people speculate based on the ending of this film that there may or may not be room for more. Which I mean there could be. I don't think there will be, but yeah, ultimately, it's that I understand his line of thinking. Which, fun fact, Angus Mclean, because unfortunately, Buzz Lightyear Star Command's in this weird space. I won't bore you with all the details, but suffice it to say, it's ironic, and I love this that Angus Mclean. He was one of the very few people that had very little hands on the Buzz Lightyear Star Command animated show. As in, he did the opening to the show. The CG opening, which the toys are like Buzz Lightyear flings around, he at least smashes into the TV. That was Angus Mclean who did that animation serendipitously. So, he did factor in the show, and that ended up being kind of the logic, which I think all of us kind of hoped would be essentially the case, where it would be, okay, well, the show was like an additional byproduct of the property that eventually, down the line would have been made. So it all fits somehow.
And the Lightyear documentary, the Tune Beyond Infinity documentary, actually revealed like he was like one of the go-to animators for the 4 movies for Buzz.
Yes, he was. I mean, particularly with the deluded Buzz stuff in Toy Story 2. And also, Angus Mclean, he directed, Toy Story of Terror, which I was the first kind of saying, what would it look like with Angus Mclean in the chair? And it looked really good. So I was so happy when I heard he was announced for this, just knowing how great an animator he is.
If I remember correctly, he also co-directed Finding Dory.
I believe you're right about that. I just can't
basically, he's done a lot of work with Andrew Stanton.
Exactly, so he's in good company. Anywho.
So your opinions.
Yes. So point being, I heard Angus Mclean was involved. I knew it was in good hands because I love this style. I knew this guy kind of had played in the Toy Story universe very well, very memorably. And so I just want to mention this too before I get into my thoughts, like just with the experience. When I got to the theater, I had no idea about this, and it was like such a pleasant surprise. They were giving away these posters, which essentially illustrated the very top of the framing device of the movie, where it's Andy in the theater. It's like concept art, Andy in the theater with the toys watching the movie, and it was it was so delightful and such an awesome poster. So giddy about it, like, oh my god, it looks amazing. They're giving it away for free, and I got it, put it in the car, and then went back in the movie. It's like, oh, it was great. Anyway, so the movie itself, here's how I feel about it. Just being lifelong being fan of just Pixar, Toy Story, and Buzz Lightyear, Star Command, the animated show. So there's definitely a barometer there to judge it by. Overall, I love the movie. Really got me emotionally in certain places, like a knife to the heart, like just like a sledgehammer to the heart, more so, just in terms of like, oh god, the feels just so sweeping in places. A lot of nostalgic love as well, but I there's specifically one, kind of two, but one specific plot point I'm really split on because it plays, but I think the movie got a little too ambitious, and it may have kind of broken the intrinsic logic of the franchise a bit. But again, there's kind of like a little room to interpret with the whole like again, there's like not everything's going to be full on adapted in a toy line or in like an animated show. So if you look at it that way, it kind of still plays, but there's like one big element that's like I think everything really works in his own brand for what we've been doing with Buzz when adapting him and like speculating what he would be. You can is the actual property, but this one element might have been a little too far. So it's like the one big sticking point I have with the film. I'm not 100% on, but again, film in a bottle plays fine. It plays fine enough. Just when you factor everything else in, it gets a little muddy. But anyway,
it's fun how it's like kind of both simultaneously too ambitious and also not developed enough in some areas.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's the better phrasing for it. I think they just got. I like to view it as too ambitious with this element. Maybe you view it the other way. We'll find out as we sift on as we go on as we blast off into adventure. But yeah, I still think it's ridiculous that Disney still has not. When this movie comes out, they're going out of their way not to show any clips of Buzz Lightyear Starkman in that little documentary, and they're not putting the show up. And basically, what they're trying to do here is if I were a betting man, I mean, the only other time they're going to disprove this is when Lightyear eventually comes to Disney Plus, and then they have the opportunity to put the show on there again. They're probably not going to do it, but I think what they're trying to do here is take advantage of the fact that the new generation does not have access to Buzz Lightyear Star Command. There's basically not gonna confuse the new generation. Like, no, don't worry about that other show. It doesn't exist. Here's what you should be focused on. So I think that's really like allow people feel confidence in what you put out there. Okay, let people choose and let them embrace both. Like don't try and hide it. It's not the way to play that. So
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how. Maybe it's just they don't have access to it. Like,
I mean, maybe, but
think of it. They could have lost, the master copies or something for all we know.
I mean, I guess, but then again, it's like all the other shows. I mean, they're sent pretty much all the other shows except the super really good ones are on there. Yeah,
Basically almost every show except every like cartoon they have except from like the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Fillmore and Fillmore and Legend of Tarzan. Those are the big missing ones.
Fillmore, Legend of Tarzan, Star Command.
Yep, I know there's another one, but I'm just blanking on it right now. Anyway,
basically the only ones that some of the few they have in the area are Kim Possible, which funnily enough are made from a lot of people who worked on Star Command.
Yep.
And also American Dragon, one of those.
Yep, I believe this was the precursor to Kim Possible, if I recall, Buzz Lightyear Star Command. But yeah, anyway.
Basically, Schooley, McCorkle, Adam Berry, a lot of people that worked on this before.
Yeah, and Tad Stones as well. I believe Tad Stones was like the big third guy in the room for Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Obviously, he went on to great success with Darkwing Duck. So,
Darkwing Duck and stuff was like long before this.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Sorry. What I mean is, like, he did that. And he's had hands in the Disney animated shows, but yes.
And where was it? I mean, I forget where I was going with this, but.
Anyway, okay, so I will say one more thing, and we'll move into the conversation here. Mclean also had a really good comparison for like how to view the whole show thing. Is that he said basically he used the kind of great Star Wars comparisons, like droids and Ewoks. It's like you're not really factoring in when they're making the movies, but it's kind of like a thing that would have been made in conjunction with, hey, what's going on right now? Star Wars is big, so we're going to do some animated shows on the side that use the characters you like, or playing in that universe, but not necessarily something you need to. And then C-3PO did this, right in between movies, so
Kind of different from this, but
No, I'm just saying, like Angus Mclean using a Star Wars pull, which I think kind of tracks like the idea that a franchise would kind of spin off in the animated shows that don't necessarily, don't necessarily connect strongly, but are in the same reverence for the original source material. Anyway,
I mean,
all that is,
Atomic Beast put it as well.
Yes, I mean it makes sense that okay, there we go. Oh.
Sorry.
Makes sense the animated series have taken more liberties than the movie. For example, the Jumanji cartoon takes a different direction. The Mask, oh, I love The Mask. Godzilla Godzilla needed all the help it could get, and the Starship Troopers, exactly, etc., etc. I mean, imagine the in-universe reception Lightyear had, and the creators of the animated series make changes to kind of fit better. Yeah, exactly. You can look at it that way as well. So yeah, it's kind of it's kind of interesting when you look at it that way too. Is the fact like, hey. Basically, Lightyear was the Toy Story. It's kind of a meta version of Toy Story for its time, in which, hey, here's like the Buzz Lightyear movie of '95, and then we eventually make Buzz Lightyear Star Command, like roughly in that time. It's kind of funny. Okay, so I guess we're just going to break it down again. Tom Bees, anything you want us to specifically jump to, you can throw it out there. So now, folks, we're entering the spoiler portion of our discussion. Full spoilers. All right.
Pretty much.
So at the top of the movie, get the whole Andy thing, So this is yet again. I knew they were going to have this. I didn't expect them to open the movie like this, but it was delightful. It's the whole. I got chills when I saw 1995 on the screen. I won't lie. I just kind of like, oh, put the 95 on there. They're already kind of getting me. But it's trying to separate. Okay, guys, this isn't the toy. This is the thing that inspired the toy. It's not Tim Allen. Okay, let's make peace with that and move on.
Yeah, Tim Allen only provides the voice of the toy.
Yeah, which I love because that's kind of a meta thing on how Pat Fraley does the voice for Tim Allen for the toy. So I always loved the conceit. I just wish more people would get on board with it. But
I think he also voices him in other stuff too.
Yeah, like sometimes like the rides and commercials and stuff that Tim Allen's not available for.
I think the games too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pretty much everything, but with very few exceptions. Yeah. All right, so our opening, yeah,
just like Tom Hanks' brother takes over for Woody when Tim's not available.
It's kind of nice though. Tom Hanks is like, "Hey Jim, you want some work?" Do I?
Also, they kind of sound alike.
I know, yeah, they lucked out there. All the Tom Hanks parodies, they always have Jim Hanks in our corner. All right, so I'm already at the opening of this. I love the opening of this movie. I'm geeking out over all the nods to Diluted Buzz, from Toy Story. We mirrored the shots from Toy Story, like with the helmet shot and everything, where he's jumping. Terrain seems a bit unstable. And something we should talk about, Jacob, is there is a fine line I think the movie walks, and I think it walks in the positive way, where there's a fine line between like pure fan service of like, oh, lines from Toy Story and bits from Toy Story, and the other, and just being referential. And I think it lands on the referential side in regards of, they're not making references just for the sake of references. I think they're making references, but also they're doing it in the sense of, okay, well, the Buzz Lightyear toy is absolutely influenced by everything in this movie. So you're seeing all the influences of like how that Buzz Lightyear operates personality-wise and everything. So it's literally in his programming from the scenes that you're seeing unfold before your eyes. So it's a point of genesis before it's like a cash-in sort of thing, I felt. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think like it makes sense. I mean, it kind of muddies the whole being based on the toy being based on the TV series thing, but
oh sure, but again, it's series would probably come later, and they're going to watch the toys. Are going to watch the show anyway to slice it, so it's going to work.
I mean, that's true, but
yeah,
I mean, I think it's like, I think they like spread it, like they both spread it out enough to where it doesn't like seem like it's like, oh hey, remember this line? And also worked a lot of them into the plot and legitimately made them make sense.
Yeah.
And also kind of makes them in a way almost retroactively makes them funnier as well.
So something really neat and ironic, given like the Buzz Lightyear story. Folks, I'm going to try not to make it like a constant. Like, there's only two spots I really have to kind of point this out, where there's obviously a lot of room to compare it to Buzz Lightyear Star Command, which is it's kind of. I mean, it's kind of fair and it's kind of unfair at the same time because I mean, if there, it's the fact that we shouldn't be forgetting about Buzz Lightyear Star Command, so we should be bringing it up by the same token. Though it's like, well, it's still they're taking their stab at it, and we should respect that. But there's still some room, and I think there are some similarities. And the fact that McLean did have like some fingerprints on at least a part of Buzz Lightyear Star Command, it kind of warrants bringing it up. And I think there's some similarities to the Adventure Continues 3 episode movie pilot. That Tim Allen did the voice of, the kind of the movie version of. Like the Buzz Lightyear Star Command had this animated movie called The Adventure Begins, I should say. And there's a that it's basically Buzz Lightyear dealing with rookies, and that's very much a huge component of this film, and I really like that similarity.
And I believe a lot of the series is available on YouTube.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't fully buy the transfer, because I have like the bootleg, like someone burned it onto a DVD way back when, so I have like the whole series that way to watch it. And yes, it was on YouTube, and now it's more sporadically, put out that way. So I'm saying if anyone can get their hands on it, it does exist. They just have to clean it up, which I'm sure Disney has the money to do.
Oh yeah, also David the Barbarian. That's the other one I was thinking about earlier.
Oh, there you go. That's the one. That might be the one I was thinking of too.
That's also missing from Disney Plus, but it's a shame because that's like one of my favorite shows from that time.
So I gotta tell you, I went into this movie. I was surprised in a way, and not in a bad way. I was subverted here, where I went into this movie assuming that it was going to be. And again, this is maybe me being a little optimistic. They were going to do like find a workaround to maybe end in a place that would be full on Buzz Lightyear Star Command. But again, they didn't go that route. So, but regardless, it's the fact that it's Buzz. I assume this movie is going to be Buzz going from like a test pilot to a rookie, and that would be his art, like a fresh space ranger, like putting on the suit for the first time. That was not the case. They made him Captain Buzz Lightyear, which, given the Captain America thing, I think is still really fun.
And of course, they're more familiar with Star Command than I am.
Yeah, I mean, sure, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I knew it was a gamble, but I didn't. Regardless, I expected them to do like they really all they haven't shown a lot of him in the Space Ranger suit in the market. They showed him a lot in like the pilot get up. So that made me think it was like a Green Lantern kind of pilot to Ranger sort of thing. So
no, he was always a Ranger, even at the beginning he did try to demote himself.
Exactly, which again, it's on brand. So that's the thing. So I love that. I do appreciate that we kind of started. We got him in the suit, and then we took him out of it for a bit in a believable way. So it's the fact that we got to see him as the full on Captain, Captain Buzz, Captain Lightyear kind of thing going on there, where he's very much he's very much like a self-reliant, kind of best of the best at the start. We're kind of seeing him full tilt, which is good. Getting the whole like, okay, you go into a Buzz Lightyear movie, you want to see him as Buzz Lightyear. You don't want to see him necessarily as the Green Rookie at the top. So you get like a little sample of what it's like. Now, speaking of rookies, though, and that's the thing I want to get into, is that I love that he has trouble dealing with rookies and the user-friendly autopilots and everything. I love that.
He wants to do everything himself.
Exactly, and I love that we explore that as a character. Well, I got to tell you, Jake, this is me going to get personal for a millisecond here. I have a character flaw myself. I have trouble asking for help. So this really struck a chord with me with Buzz Lightyear's arc and his kind of dilemma in this film. Is that I identify with Buzz Lightyear in this film in a way I never expected to.
I think there are a lot more people than you realize that have trouble asking for help.
Well, I mean, sure. I'm just saying it's like literally have like I freeze up when I'm looking for the words sometimes for the help. But it's like,
I mean, I'm one of them too.
Sure. So the point being, I think there's a relatable component to Buzz here, which I felt it really kind of touched me in a way I didn't expect it to. So I mean, I really like that. And
he doesn't even like AI.
Sure. And that's the thing, though. I love with the rookies, though. Again, it's kind of taking that Buzz Lightyear Star Command, the Adventure Begins idea of like him kind of running into kind of rookie trouble, and kind of later on he'll be saddled with him. I love how he gets saddled with him, but again, we'll get to that later. But so just at the top, we see that it's kind of an issue for him with the whole I work solo sort of mentality.
It seems to make an exception for Hawthorne. For Hawthorne.
Well, she's an equal though, and she taught him. She outranks him.
Yeah, so he obviously doesn't mind working with her, and it's just when Featheringhampton or whatever his name is.
Featheringhamston.
Featheringhamston.
By the way, voiced by the great Bill Hader in a very brief, unrecognizable role, but it's Bill Hader.
Featheringhamston.
Yep, Featheringhamston.
Yep. Yeah, he's the one he has Buzz has a problem with.
Yeah, so I gotta tell you, I was just really kind of floored and just wrapped up in like this opening I didn't expect. Where they're on a mission, they're exploring kind of like a planet to see if it's inhabitable, and like basically they kind of do exploring before they wake all the scientists up. And by the way, I love Buzz when he comes out of hypersleep and everything, just like the toy. It's like the idea that they go in hypersleep between space travel. That's awesome.
And we don't even fully see him until the pan up on the planet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I love the idea. They're exploring Takani, I believe it's called Takani Prime, and they get attacked by bugs, like kind of big old sci-fi bugs going at them. They have like laser kind of blades, like laser, like kind of like a lightsaber equivalent.
And not to mention living vines.
Yeah, the living vines. That's what I'm saying. It's like kind of like a swamp thing, kind of that esque element to this
It's
planet.
kind of funny. At first, it seems like a major danger. The vines seem like a very real major danger, but later on in the movie, they're just treated as like a minor inconvenience.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
It's like and like once they see like Buzz even just sees somebody being dragged by the vines, and they just yeah, he doesn't say this, but it's almost like yeah, he'll be fine.
Exactly. I mean, the idea is like they're all armed with like the little kind of like laser machete thing, so like they'll just slice it before he gets dragged off too far. That's what happens with everybody.
It's like yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. So, so sadly, and this is the thing that kind of surprised me. Like we were opening the movie this strongly. Is like sadly, Buzz he screws the mission up, which he's very dedicated to fulfilling. And again, because he was unable to ask for help in a very critical moment, which I don't see how that guy really could have helped him too much, but just the fact that he was his Buzz kind of went it alone, and he made it was an innocent mistake. And I love that no one like blames him, like no one's like really angry. Oh, that Lightyear guy.
It really. How is he supposed to know that the planet was hostile?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's not like it's not like they blame him for even like doing and jumping a bit, continuously going forward in time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. I'm just saying the screw up obviously being like when he was going up and the ship got hit and he got a marooned. Like that's what he's blaming himself for.
and of course, nobody blames it for that either, because of course
Yeah,
it's hard to pilot a turnip.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I love that no one's blaming him for that, and I like that. I this was a very interesting dilemma, and that's what I'm saying. This movie is everything. I think the first act of this movie is incredibly strong. I really do. I think it might be the best part of the movie. First act is just insanely solid, and like how much I'm investing in this character, and like the whole. You feel for him where he's just he's court martialing himself, and there's like, no, Buzz, we need you to help us get out of this thing, and it just
What exactly is a Featheringham's did? We didn't see him after the beginning of the movie.
well, he's
I don't,
fine.
I don't think he died, but I think he probably didn't do a lot of space rangering
Well,
from
no,
that on.
he probably died of old age, Jacob.
Well, like he probably didn't die from the crash and everything.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I'm
no,
talking about.
yeah, we saw.
Of course, everybody died from going forward in time, like as we saw.
Yeah,
But,
like
but
we
that,
saw.
that, that's what I was talking about. Not
Oh,
be,
right, sorry.
no, no, he died. Like he didn't die. He died of natural causes, not from anything else.
Exactly. So that brings us to I think the most interesting thing, which I gotta be honest, when I heard about this and like it was like one of the trailers I quickly skimmed, and then like the making of just kind of like established just like a little bit, but just seeing the full thing play out, man, the premise of this movie I thought was just insanely clever. Just the idea of like how do we add some layers to Buzz Lightyear to make the distinction from the toys, something that we don't know about him outside of just the usual thing that we kind of see in Buzz Lightyear's Dark Matter, because he's a space adventurer, he's kind of universe protection, that sort of thing. How do we kind of look a little deeper, look a little within? So they kind of got the idea, um, basically to the idea that he was making up for what happened, and he's basically going forward. They're trying to find a fix for the damaged crystallic fusion, which basically gets him the hyperdrive. So he's volunteered to go up and be the pilot and test this thing out, so they can get a new fuel solution to go home. And he's basically doing all the test flights, which leads to this really awesome, very realistically based, time dilation effect, in which when you reach a light speed that's what I'm saying, Jacob. It's the light year of it all is the fact that we looked at this character. Let's look at his namesake, Lightyear. What can we do with that? And that kind of led to hyperspace kind of led to this really notable thing that happened to him, is that he kept going forward and passing these light years essentially, and it caused a tragedy.
While he was only gone for a few minutes, everyone else thought he was gone for 40 years.
Jacob, never in a million years would I have thought of, like, let's take the actor who played Captain America, put him in the Buzz Lightyear role, and let's kind of mix and match here. Let's do a man out of time thing, kind of like we had with Captain America, but with Buzz Lightyear, but apply it to the Lightyear namesake with a hyperspeed, kind of like time dilation thing. I never would have thought of that, and I think it's so fascinating, and I love it. It's the perfect marriage. I dig it. So he just lost so much time in his pursuit of being a space ranger again, and getting Alicia to be a space ranger again too, and like these 4-year jumps. So okay. Here's the best part of the whole movie for me. The 40-year time jump montage is like that's where I almost broke down in tears in the theater. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, that arguably was probably the best part of the movie.
Dear God, I was nearly weeping, and I took a lot from me. Like I'd like bite my lip and everything. This thing really touched me. It got me so badly.
I mean, he basically saw Alicia, her wife, her son, and their son basically grow up, and basically, like, you only got to see small snippets of it, but they had basically encapsulates the theme. They had a whole life, and he missed it, basically.
I love the bittersweet effect of Buzz. He's happy for his friend during these little check-ins that we see in the hall, and like the same thing that happens where the editing on this montage is so good when he gets in the thing.
It's the fact that he goes up, goes around, she drives him back.
Yep.
They have a little chat in the hall where we see them speaking to the home, rinse, repeat, socks. Socks. We haven't talked about socks yet, but
we'll get the socks in a second. We just got to talk about this montage.
Socks presumably perfects another version of the formula. Rinse, repeat for like several minutes until he comes back and Alicia's not there to greet him anymore.
Okay, that's it's just utterly, because again, I love there was already like a bittersweet thing he's happy for, but you get to see the loneliness on him, that he's kind of missing time with his friends, and he's just kind of like he's dedicating to the mission. He's just the fact that like you see like fail like in like red reflected on his helmet and everything is you feel for him because we've all been there, we've all been like failure staring us in the face. And I love that you see him feel the consequences for all these people are living lives essentially stranded on another planet when they shouldn't have to, and she's having a wife and kid and grandkid, and he's happy for her. By the same token, again, he's like he may have limited her opportunities. She may be settling for a life, and he's anyway. So, but that message she left, it's like he just goes there and she's not in the office for the first time, and it's that message of her on her deathbed with her granddaughter. And it's utterly just broke my heart. And it's like it's married life with a sci-fi twist. It's like Interstellar meets Up, and it just killed me.
Leave it to Pixar to bring those two things together.
Yep, leave it to them.
And of course, we haven't mentioned that Alicia was who he did the whole To Infinity and Beyond thing with.
Yeah, which is great, and again, a little indicative of the Woody and Buzz, best friend handshake from Toy Story. So it's kind of like a fun kind of like way of like getting To Infinity and Beyond an origin, and kind of like a little homage to that.
Of course, it's more of a finger tap than anything else.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the ba-la-la-la.
Ba-la-la-la.
Yeah, from Big Hero 6. So
yeah. Not Pixar, but still.
Still in good company, though.
Good company, yes.
All right, so socks, man. We got to talk about socks. And no, we're not talking about the things you put on your feet, kids. We're talking about the little AI, the feline.
I love socks. He's probably my favorite side character of the movie.
Yeah, Pete Sohn. I imagine what happened here is Pete Sohn did the scratch for this in the story room. They just loved it so much because that's usually what happens, and they just kept him on. Like, hey, Pete, why don't you just voice the characters? Like, okay.
I think that I loved him as Emile from Ratatouille.
Me too.
I don't know if he's done. I think he's done a lot of voices since then, but that's still like the one that pops out.
Well, also again, like Russell is very much based on him, even though he doesn't do the voice, but he did the voice in like the story and the scratch meetings for that. But
I think he might have done. He probably did. He's more than likely have done a couple of like voices in other roles since Ratatouille. I'm fairly certain since that was over 15 years ago.
Right.
So I just can't think of any more of it off the top of my head exactly, but I really love how he did socks. He strikes a perfect balance of not being.
Jacob, I know the one you're thinking of. Monsters University. He was Squishy.
Oh, he was Squishy, right?
Or Squish, I think. But the point being, he was a little, the pink monster.
Well, I'm sure he's still not. That's still not the only one he's done since then.
No, I'm just saying it's like that's the closest thing. It was a supporting role as well, so it's kind of a long time. But yes, you're right. Anyways, I'm sorry. Continue.
But it's like it's regarding Socks and his performance. It's like he's struggling to balance where it's like it's not too robotic, but it's also not too too human like either. Where like it finds a nice balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so here I think Socks is a great addition. One, Pete's Zone, very funny, very pleasant, just in the kind of the pleasantries that are exchanged there. He has like a genuine like kind of like attachment to Buzz Lightyear. He's very friendly towards him. They have like a nice,
That
it's a
lets it.
reciprocated thing.
I think few. Like, long story short, Buzz actually becomes a fugitive because of Socks.
Yeah, yeah. So let me tell you my favorite thing with Socks though. I love that story wise, he serves a really great purpose in that. One, he's kind of like his R2D2 essentially in the way he works. He can literally hack into the stuff, and
And he even goes into the ship port like at the end of the movie too.
exactly, just like R2D2, which is not accidental. Given again, like there's going to be a little bit of Star Wars infused in Buzz Lightyear, but beyond that, the folks at Pixar adore Star Wars, so how can they not? But
I mean, considering
the original trilogy more so.
Considering Pixar was kind of originally an offshoot of Lucasfilm in the first
I
place.
know. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
And they're now both owned by the same people.
Now Andrew Stanton has co-written some episodes of Obi-Wan. It's all cyclical, kids.
It all comes back to Star Wars.
Yep. Anyway, what I love with Socks is that I love that he kind of represents something big in Buzz's character arc in the movie, in that he's a gift from Alicia. That basically she wanted to help him with his adjustment. Essentially, it's a therapy cat of sorts, but a robotic version of like a therapy animal, which is already like a clever, cute concept.
And it's kind of neat that Socks himself didn't actually age through all the times that Buzz left.
Yeah, only once, like when it was like hundreds and hundreds of years in the future, presumably. Yeah. So, the fact that Socks is like a gift from Alicia, which is the main reason I like to think is why Buzz is accepting this user friendly device when he's very put off by them, like Ivan throughout the movie up to this point, where you think like he wouldn't want anything to do with Socks, but it was a gift from Alicia, a very thoughtful gift, and ultimately is the last symbol that he has of her, but beyond her granddaughter, obviously. We'll get there.
Okay, so basically, getting off subject here. Like, what do you think of like all the other like sci-fi stuff in this? Maybe we can talk about Socks, but like,
oh yeah, we should.
Like, I mean, anything more to say about Socks? But let's finish talking about Socks first.
Okay, well, anyways, just to round out Socks here is that again, I like that Socks he naturally evolves Buzz's arc into accepting friends and accepting help, and obviously Socks is very key in figuring out the crystallic fusion problem. And I don't know, it's just like Socks is very well handled to me.
I love how he like basically becomes kind of like Buzz's like best friend almost in a way.
Yeah, see, unfortunately now they've written him into a corner. You know why?
Why?
Because now they made a character who is so insanely awesome and likable that now it stands to reason. Wait a minute, how the heck is there not Socks merchandise in all the Toy Story movies? Because how do you not market that Socks character?
That is a fair point.
That's the important thing. It's kind of an example of them doing too good a job with the character.
Maybe, or it could be explained like maybe Andy didn't. Maybe Andy and the other kids don't want a Socks toy.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know.
Like I said, it's like he even gets like. Sorry, I almost forgot my cat. It's adorable. Like and I like to believe that it's even beyond the fact that it's a gift from Alicia that he legitimately grew to be fond of. Like he's the one constant throughout his entire time traveling adventures beyond his friends growing old.
Precisely. All right.
Atomic Beast has something to say about that.
Yeah.
I like to think this film resonates a lot with Andy. If Woody actually belonged to Andy's father, Socks reminds a lot of his dad.
Oh, hey, there's
a theory that Woody actually belonged to Andy's father.
No, yeah, I've absolutely agreed. I've always thought it was that, honestly, myself. Like that's all sorts of people lay out like a Pixar theory of one way or another. Those are the headcanon things I can wrap my mind around. That yeah.
I mean, it makes more sense than all the films are connected in some kind of singular universe.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing to just kind of think of, like, okay, well, yeah, so Woody is a toy from the 50s, ergo his father probably would have lived through the 50s, and he probably would have, had that toy, or maybe been passed down to him, or something. So yeah, hand-me-down toy and all that.
Yeah, we'll talk about Socks as part of the plot later, but I really did like him, and of course, Pete's Zone love his voice work as Socks.
Yeah. So anyway, to the sci-fi settings, I think we should mention that Tom Piece kind of teed up earlier for us that I really want to get into is that yeah, something really cool. So you know me, I'm a gadget nut. And I was so elated to learn on that behind the scenes thing. Angus Mclean is also a gadget nut, and I think it
and,
shows and like the
and,
whole tactile gadget thing he's going for.
and you could definitely tell like a lot of the ships were designed with Lego sets.
Yep, and now they put out a few Lego sets. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Jacob. I'm so tempted to buy so many of these spaceships. So I really want to wait until they make the shuttle at the end because the shuttle at the end is like my favorite thing ever with Buzz Lightyear. So I really want them to make some new ones of that. So I'm so tempted to get the XL-15, but it's like, I mean, that's cool, but I want that shuttle.
I thought it was the XL1.
Well, no, Jake, there is an XL1, but there's also the
Oh,
XL-15.
oh, the XL15, right?
Because remember, I think he starts off in the XL1, then the one they're really going after for the rest of the movie is like the XL-15, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway,
But,
so
but yeah, it's like he loved like Angus like loved making spaceships like out of Legos and like taking pictures of them, sending them to like the design crew and like here make a ship look like this, and they're like okay.
now you got to remember, Angus McClain actually worked in Legos for like the first time in Toy Story with Toy Story of Terror. Remember, he had like the little Lego kind of bunny thing. So
Like, and of course, like all the textile stuff, you can like see how like worn and used this stuff is.
So that's the thing I want to talk about. So Latante's kind of teed up. So again, the movie is very deliberately set in '95. So this is like a sci-fi movie made to look futuristic, but in the '90s. So because of that, things are a little bulkier, and it has that lived-in. So again, it's obviously there's a Star Wars influence, but there's also kind of like a '90s sci-fi where we're kind of going the Liefeld approach with things, where things are bulky and big, and pouches and stuff. There's a little bit of that in there.
And probably better designed feet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely too. That's what I'm saying. I love how I love all the finished details. I mean, I've always kind of dreamed of what the Buzz Lightyear suit would look like, not on a toy. So seeing the suit realized, I just love everything about the suit and seeing like how it. And my favorite thing in the whole movie is seeing how the suit upgrades over time, and like you see the idea of okay, this is the inspiration for the wrist laser, which will be a thing by the end, and here's like the inspiration for the beryllium carbonic alloy wings. It's an escape feature, and I can't tell you how giddy I was when I saw him with the jetpack at the end. The only wish I had is that we saw the finished version. This is the thing, James. I purely want a sequel, in all honesty, just for two reasons. One, I want to see those wings out, the finished purple wings. And two, I want Zurg to have a cape, but we'll get there.
All right.
Not the best reasons to make a sequel, but those are the two reasons, if I'm being frank, I want a sequel.
And even then, like some of the more mundane stuff, like the instant, instant food that Buzz has. It's like he shakes it, cracks it, like suddenly like a piece of meat.
Like I love going to Buzz's room and he has like breakfast, lunch, and dinner laid out, and they're all like these instant ready meals. But yeah, you shake them and they're cooked, but like barely cooked, and they're processy kind of like shaped foods.
and then somehow in the future they changed how sandwiches are made. They put the bread on the inside.
Now that's an Angus Mclean joke if I've ever seen one. That's really funny. That's just
like they put the bread on the inside.
I'll tell you, that just feels like a gag they pitched around the writer's room. I just feel like, no, we'll never do that. It's just, let's do it. It just feels like it's like there was like they always come up with vending machine gags in Pixar movies, but half the time they don't make them in the movie. Like the head Juji Fright is like in Monsters Inc., but they cut that out.
I'm not familiar with those vending machine gags.
Well, I'm just saying it's probably not every Pixar movie. So it's come up a few times. Most memorably, Monsters Inc. Originally, the entrance to Waternoose's secret plot was not behind the wall with the tools on it. It was like a vending machine that was constantly broken every time Mike wanted some Juji Fright from the machine, like the candy machine. And anyway, so they scrapped it because if the machine were broken at some point, maintenance would have to fix it. Ergo, like they can't really work. Anyway, tangents aside, though, but yes, the sandwich gag, the world building's really great. Even like the little gadgets too. Like I really like the pen gag. I like that.
Did anyone need a pen?
I love the pen gag, and I want that pen at the end, not the one that's red like his suit. I want the green one that's under like the arm, the gauntlet.
And then when he finally got to use the pen,
yeah, that was great.
It's like I need a screwdriver or something that's shaped like it. I have a pen.
And the pen thing makes sense too, because we saw Buzz when he's in the cockpit. Like, and this is a really great detail, by the way. I don't want to glaze past this. That when Buzz was a pilot, he did like a real pilot thing you see all the time, in like the old World War II movies. Like, they have to run the calculations by drawing on whatever they have, like in the cockpit. So that's what he did, like a little grease pen.
That was actually really clever because he didn't want to. Because he wanted to do it himself in the computer when the AI wasn't really working with him.
Seriously, how great a sequence was that, Jacob? When he was in space and he was running risk of like drifting aimlessly if he didn't make it back to like the Superman 64 rings.
Oh God.
No, I'm joking about the 64 rings, but clearly though, those rings, the idea again, the science, the illogical logic, are very much like the sci-fi logic here of like, okay, so we're gonna have these rings that would conceivably slow you down if you were going at light speeds to re-enter the planet. Like, oh, really good logic there.
Yep. They said that really contributes to Act One by being the strongest part of the movie. Like,
yeah,
it's like it shows like how like the risk taker that Buzz is, but also shows that like he kind of earned his ranks by being smart.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He's being both smart and risky at the same time.
So again, there's the idea that every time he re-enters, we have like a different status quo shift. It's just it's an insanely good idea that is rooted in actual science, which really fascinates me. Anyway, so we get Commander Burn.
It is kind of funny that like in some like they follow actual science in some areas, but they also disregard it in others.
Not for sure, as kind of the standard with anything. I mean, look at Back to the Future, for example. It's like there's a lot of rules that are playing by the same token. It's like, yeah, we're taking some leaps. We're taking a lot of leaps for the sake.
But here's the question: does it work better for the sake of the story? Then yes.
Yeah.
But basically, either go with it if it makes sense for the story, if it works in a dramatic sense, or if it's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. So, Commander Burnside, you basically have like the new guy in charge after Alicia passes, and basically his big plan is like, we're not going to try and get out of this hole. We're just going to like build a laser shield, laser shield. Yes.
Like he doesn't exactly condemn Buzz for what he's doing, but it's like maybe it's gone to the future enough.
Yeah, but I gotta admit though, this is not a problem with the movie because you need it to happen so we have some story. But it's by the same token, it's like, really, after he's finally cracked the code on it, they really should have given Buzz like one more flight before they shelved everything. They should have given him like one more.
Well, then again, he had tried it for over 40 years by that point.
I think technically, I don't know if they factored in like the 22-year jump in this or not, but I think, is it 40 years followed by the 22-year jump, or is it 62 years total?
I think after Burnside came into the picture, like the time he went in there was like 22 years.
Okay, well, I know
because obviously Izzy didn't age that much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, Izzy. What I'm saying is Izzy. He jumped 22 years, and that's when he met Izzy. So I know. Anyways, up to that point, I think it was like 40. I think overall it was 62 years, and it was like a 40-22 split.
I guess if he thinks it could, so I kind of understand where Burnside's coming from because he had been trying it because Buzz had been basically going in there for. To him, it's only been like a couple hours or maybe even a couple days.
Yeah, for Buzz, it's been roughly 10 days, and it's been, I think it's like, if it's 40 years a pop, and it's like, 40, it's like, what is it, like, it's like 10 days, right?
About 10 days, but then to them, he's been trying it for over 40 years.
I mean, how heady is that? 10 days for 40 years.
Yeah, it is kind of heady. And so I said, I can kind of understand why, I mean, Sir Burnside could have been a little less brusque about the whole thing, but
yeah, absolutely, sure.
He could have been like, like he shoved Hawthorne's name out of the flag, like, this is my room now.
Yeah, it was of course, right after like the big emotional gut punch scene.
The whole to infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
So it's like he could have been a bit less brusque, but I can also see where he's coming from.
Yeah. So let's see. So again, 22 years after that 22-year jump, that brings us basically to the act. Really brings us to Act 2. I thought that.
Basically, he became a fugitive because they were going to take his cat.
Yeah.
And we can't really blame him because we would have done the same thing for Socks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love how Socks. This cracked me up, Jacob. I love the fact that Socks was like completely on his side when he learned like they were going to decommission me. Like, screw those guys.
He's like, Buzz, what are we doing? It's like he was confused at first, but then he's like, Like he always has like conflicting feelings about things.
Well,
Like,
it's even funnier given the fact he was contemplating, injecting Buzz. He was contemplating like trank darting him, which apparently he can do. Like, Socks, did they tell
like
you to do that? If I got out of line, we don't. You have less than 5 minutes.
that's like the funny thing is that like, of course, a lot of there have been some funny moments up to that point. That was like the moment that Socks tranked the guard. That got the first like huge laugh
Yeah,
out of
I know. It
everybody in
was
my
such a
theater.
huge laugh in the theater for me too.
It's like I mean, like I said, obviously there were like a couple other jokes that people liked and they laughed at. That was like the first uproar that the theater had. It's
Yeah.
like you have less than five. Like it's like, oh my god, he just tranched the guy.
All right, so let's talk about our rookies, Jacob.
Yep.
So,
Izzy Hawthorne.
so here's the thing. Overall, let me say this with the rookies, and then we'll break them down.
Okay,
I
sorry.
love the realization, and I love how we play this in the mounting realization. You kind of suspect, and then when it happens, it's just really funny. Just this realization that Buzz's worst nightmare is realized. His last ditched effort here of Space Rangers are all a bunch of rookies. That's just
Uh,
really, even
uh,
even the granddaughter of the most trusted person he has, Izzy, the queen of the rookies.
and of course, he thinks that at first, like, of course, he's a Hawthorne, so that means these people are the best of the best.
Yep.
which, of course, naturally, if we've seen the trailers, we know for a fact they're not.
So yeah, we kind of force Buzz into the ultimate mentor role. One could say, which is interesting, given the Buzz's dilemma that he has an immeasurable. Well, I guess technically it's measurable. The point being, he got 60+ years of experience while still being in his prime. So
te-
that's a really
well, technically 60 years of experience.
well, the point being, he is seasoned, and you had like the weird like I'm
Or,
saying is like out of
or should I say relatively?
yes, relatively, yeah,
If you get my pun there.
yeah, no, it's a good pun, yeah.
Thank you.
So that's what I'm saying. No, seriously, that's a really good pun.
Thank you.
Anyway.
I'm actually kind of proud of that
No,
one.
no, no, you should be. No, it's actually that's clever. So, but yeah, so it's the fact that he's all the years of experience, and he's in this unique position of like, well, if Buzz has kind of lost everything, we kind of found a silver lining for him, where he can bring the experience he has to be a mentor, but he never saw himself in that role.
But of course, before we get to that, we're introduced to the Zergbots.
Yeah, so the Zergbots, of course, I love that the Zergbots are definitely influenced by the video game Zergbots. The whole like the Dr. Seussian design, or like the moment at the top of Toy Story 2, and they all pop out of the shoulders, almost like Dr. Seussian robots. So
Like it definitely has the same kind of aesthetic as like the Zerg base on in the video game from the movie. If you get
oh
what
yeah,
I'm
for
saying.
sure, and especially once we're in the ship, you see like the hallways that are very much like the Zerg, the Z base.
Even though it is kind of weird that the Buzz in the video game looks a lot like the toy version.
I know that always weirded me out, but again, that was kind of a modeling thing. But I don't know. It's
Theme Park Priest says interrupting Cal. I probably won't be seeing Lightyear anytime soon.
oh sorry about that, theme park priest.
All right, and I jumped in because he had interrupting Cal on it.
Oh sure, yeah. Just hopefully, again, like put the fingers in the ears, because soon we're gonna be getting into some true spoilers, because we're bringing up the topic of Zerg stuff. But we'll
but
we
yeah,
got rookies to talk about first.
the Zerg bots kind of reminded me of like the battle, almost like Battlestar Galactica, kind of.
Oh yeah, that was always like kind of the influence on the Zerg bots. Yeah.
It's like not exactly like the Cylons, but pretty. You can tell they're pretty close. Like you can tell they took a lot of influences, like besides Star Wars, when it came to the whole sci-fi angle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but I like it also like placed in like they're a threat. Like it was actually pretty much clear they made them a threat, but you don't actually see them like hurt or even kill anyone. They just more like focus with teleporting them to Zerg's ship.
Yeah, that's the thing. The real occupation here is that they're searching essentially for the crystallic fusion, and they need to get into the base, which essentially is being, hey, robots are coming after us, and they're probably shooting lasers, getting from point A to point B, just kind of trying to basically getting anything that's in their way, probably zapping it. And
Theme Park Priest is okay with spoilers.
okay, so yeah. Anyways, the point being, like they're zapping through stuff, and probably like, hey, let's fall back, get the laser shield up, and they're just kind of stuck outside the laser shield, so until they can get in. So that's kind of, they're not really, yeah. So far the bugs are doing more attacking than they are.
So, and of course we see the ship when the ship gets teleported to Zerg. He's like, "Where's the pilot?"
Yeah.
which, as we did note at the time, was also a bit of foreshadowing.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. So, and before we get to more Zurg, let's break down our rookies. So we got Izzy, of course, who has who basically our legacy connection, kind of big connection to Alicia. Basically gets to follow in her grandmother's footsteps, by becoming a space ranger ultimately. But she has a big obstacle to overcome. She has a fear of space.
Oh, and she wants to become a. It's basically a contradictory thing. She wants to be a space ranger, but is afraid of space.
And I love it too. 'Cause you see, like the little girl who was like very eager to be a space ranger. Like it's like the whole like kids want to be astronauts, but they don't realize you have to go through a lot of rigorous training, and you gotta get in like the
Like, and I love how Buzz basically once he hears that he's like, like basically, it's like he says like space is in the name. Like astrophobia is kind of a disqualification right off the bat.
I mean, I always hate the idea of disqualifying anyway, but that one's like a legit disqualifier. It's like
That's a legit disqualifier.
that's
I mean, it's a fair point.
it is. It is like yeah. If you're afraid of space, don't like. It's like you couldn't be a marine biologist if you're afraid of the water.
It's like I want to study fish. Like, oh god, the fish.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a job that requires scuba diving and you can't scuba dive, that's kind of the end of it for you.
He's like, if you're afraid of it, how did you get your job? How did you get this job?
Nepotism.
It's like nepotism. I also lied about my preferences.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so we have then we have basically a team of two other human space. We also have Derek, who's basically like the Eric bot. By the way, the Eric bot, mainly the Derek bot, more so. Angus Mclean doing the voice for that too. By the way,
and I love his whole gag. It's a simple gag, but it's like how he's like basically trying to point them in a direction of the shed or whatever, or
yeah.
of the base.
Yeah,
and he just keeps like bags like no way. And he's still telling it throughout the rest of the movie, and even through basically one of the end credit gags was him still in the process of doing it. And then he realized they were gone.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It's like he's like, and he turns around like, "Did you get that?" Oh,
I think it's really funny. Like we had a member of the crew, and so he's completely wrote him out in the funniest way possible.
It's like, yeah, what would they have done with the Derek bot anyway?
No, they wouldn't have done much with him outside. That's what I'm saying. Like Sox does everything Derek does and much better, but just have like
basically he's a gonk droid.
Yeah, exactly. Very much.
He's a gonk droid that can talk.
Yeah, the gonk droids are like the ones with like the stubby Robbie the Robot legs, right?
Yep, like the ones that look like walking trash cans.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm feeling. A giant like the trash can with like one of those lid things. Yeah.
Whereas R2D2 is like the sleek modern trash cans.
Yeah.
Well, not that R2D2 is trash, but you get the idea.
Well, no, he's the best kind of trash friend.
Yes, he is.
He's trash that's a friend.
So basically, Derek is the gonk droid, Sox is R2D2.
Essentially, yeah, he's R2D2 meets AI, but yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, so
introducing the Misfits.
So we got Mo, who is played by Taika Waititi, which is ironic given he played kind of like a friend to the pilot character in Green Lantern, and given the Green Lantern comparisons with the Space Rangers, it's kind of funny.
And of course, Korg.
Yeah, I mean, Taika Waititi's been getting around a lot. He's obviously he's in Mandalorian as IG-88 and
IG-11.
Is it 11? I keep darn it.
88's the bounty hunter.
Darn it! I keep trying not to make that mistake. So it is IG-11.
IG-11, I will initiate self-destruct.
Right, thank you. Okay, so Blaze, of course, played IG-11. He's doing some directing, and obviously Korg.
So of course, he's been in, not the first time he's been in a movie with Captain America.
And also the most charming actor you've ever seen to play Hitler.
That too. Well, besides Mo Howard.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's okay. Fine, there have been other charming Hitlers too. Yeah, they also have like Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, Charlie Chaplin too.
Yeah, that's the biggie. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Well, of course, except for the guy in like the Downfall, most of the actors who play versions of him are actually kind of nice in real life, which is in that case definitely a good thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it'd be really. Well, like, I don't want to drift too off focus here. Yeah. Like, can you imagine like a headline of like actor who plays Hitler, not a nice man, like water is wet?
Yeah, I can imagine.
All right, so anyway,
and the guy in the Downfall, he actually is a nice guy too in real life.
Okay. Anyway, so
It's just that movie's more of a tragedy than anything else.
I gotta be honest. I wonder how the Taika Waititi character is going to play with people, because there was a moment in the movie which then did correct itself, and I wonder if you had this as well, where I feared the Mo character, the Taika Waititi character, is going to be a big problem because he is the biggest screw up on the team. But we then go to the Terillium Mind, and when we get there and we have like the little kind of sandwich conversation, it then bleeds into almost kills Socks by accident, and he feels really bad about it. And then Buzz gives him the pep talk, telling him the story of how like his first weeks at the academy, he almost washed out, and he did really until Alicia really went to bat for him. So,
and it turns out that fixing that knocking Socks off actually restored some corrupted files, and that kind of gave Buzz the pep talk that he needed from Alicia.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Well, from Alicia and Izzy, but yeah.
I mean, it was a recording from Alicia, basically telling that Socks is like, now Buzz is a friend of mine, and I want you to take good care of him.
Yep, which is adorable. I love it.
It's basically your friend like giving you like I know you've had a rough, but here's something you can take care of, and something that also take care of you.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So I mean, ultimately, that I think won me over on that character. Again, I'm not head over heels for the rest of our rookies. I mean, aside from probably Izzy, but that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I was really worried about him, but that scene really did, I think, score a lot of points back. And he has like the pen gag later, so it's like, okay, well, it's just Taika Waititi. It's just being. Let me this way. I think our characters just kind of play as, okay, these are fun characters. I'm not, but again, they're obviously going up against the very stiff competition that are the supporting characters in something like Buzz Lightyear Star Command, which you have a lot more time to establish those characters than you do here.
Yeah.
But then again, if you want to be super like nitpicky, it's like, well, you look at Adventure Continues. There's an introduction of those characters, and it's. So anyway, then you have Darby. So Darby, of course, is the elderly woman who is on essentially a work release ex-con sort of thing, where she's in charge of demolitions when she probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, she can put she can put three things together and make them explode.
Yeah.
So like basically, she is basically. I love how she like goes against like first few times she goes against like being offered a gun or offered any kind of firearm or explosive.
Yeah.
But then Buzz like uses his position as captain, like I grant you permission, and then she basically like leaps at the chance.
Oh yeah.
Like he gave, I forget the exact line, but he basically gives her express permission as captain. It's like emergency powers, basically.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, she uses it to her advantage.
That she does. Blow a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's not much to her character. She doesn't really get much development. I mean, besides Izzy, a lot of the rookies really don't.
Ultimately, I think the reason we don't have, like more either Buzz Lightyear Star Command characters or characters that are a little more like the Buzz Lightyear Star Command characters, I think ultimately is because they opted not to do aliens in this movie, which is why the LGMs are also not in this movie.
Yep, even spoilers, even Zurg's not an alien in this case.
True, which to be fair, we never really knew if he was an alien or not anyway. So it's
well, I mean, it's always I mean, it might have been assumed in the past. But
yeah, exactly.
Nobody knew for sure.
Yeah, no one knew for sure. All we knew is he was likely human underneath the suit because he was turned into. Well, I don't know. I guess you didn't see this episode, but yeah, it was like the whole like he got turned once he got infected with something. Ergo, he's probably human.
At that time, because to be fair, Lightyear is emulating what a '90s movie looks like.
Exactly, and this is very much like a Judge Dredd sort of thing, like Rob Schneider, if you will, like Rob Schneider in the spacesuit. It's like
more action, less plot and development.
Yeah,
which is fair.
Yeah, I mean that would like count some of our rookie space rangers, but I think the point.
I mean, keep in mind, Atomic Beast. When I said developed, I mean it didn't say I didn't necessarily mean that as a bad thing.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, how do you feel about it, Jacob? Did you wish we had like aliens in the suits for the other Rangers? Do you think keeping them human was like a good choice? Like, what
I mean, that could be something to explore for the future,
right?
If they do a sequel, but I think for the sake of the story, I mean, for the sake of maybe they could have used aliens if they were going for a different kind of story, but I think throwing aliens into the mix might have been a bit too much for this at the point that they were in the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically confirmed that aliens exist within the universe because where else would the technology have come from?
Oh,
If you
for
could,
sure. I mean, we have alien bugs, so I mean, we have life on other planets. So the alien thing is not out of the realm of possibility for sure. So I mean, yeah,
so
the idea is they can get around the planets with aliens when they're
oh,
exploring.
I was mainly referring to like more intelligent life, kind
Well,
of.
no, I know what you mean. I'm just saying in general, though, it's like the fact is like we land on a planet without aliens, so we hadn't really get to see the vastness of the universe. So it's likely that there are out there.
Atomic Beast's perspective.
He says if they put aliens in there, it would have taken the focus away from Buzz. Which, yeah, I mean that's another thing too. If you have characters that are potentially more interesting than Buzz, of like, okay, so we dedicate a lot of time to fleshing out Buzz, and then hey, runs into alien space rangers. I want to know more about these guys. Then clearly that could be an issue. But again, sequel territory though. Once we've established Buzz, maybe that would be the way to spice things up again a new way.
And as I said, having the characters not exactly go through development isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Sure.
I mean, some of them do have some slight development, obviously not to the extent of others. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, as long as they provide, as long as they're memorable and can help add to the plot, I mean, I have no problem with that
Of
necessarily.
course.
And
All right.
of course, Mo and everyone else adds to that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Zurg.
Berserk.
Yeah. So Zurg for me is like so again already like the thing I was kind of alluding to earlier. So like, one, you have the rookies are just kind of like that's always going to be, well, I prefer my classic guys more of these guys, but again, it's maybe that's not the best. Like there's a limitation there, obviously in the whole no aliens as I mentioned. But the thing I still can't wrap my head around though, Zurg. Zurg I think is Angus Mclean going a biting off a little more than he could chew with the whole time dilation idea, where I think he got really enamored with in Act One, and he's like, how could we push this a little bit further and really kind of like get something out of it extra in regards to our Zurg reveal? And the fact of the matter is, because of the gag in Toy Story 2, and because of the Star Wars parallels, there had to be like a big reveal thing with Zurg. There had to be,
Yep.
and because of that, I think there was only so many things you could do without it just literally being Buzz's father, which would have just come out of left field given we don't know anything of Buzz's family in this movie.
And of course, James Brolin is Zurg,
Yes, of course, that's great casting anyway, slice.
which is the father of
Thanos.
Josh Brolin, who's Thanos. Who, so there's a
And
bit
he's a
of a
big purple guy too.
also big purple guy. Yeah, like the Brolins have it in for playing big purple guys.
So here's the thing. So we reveal that Zurg. Here's the big spoiler, folks.
Zurg is Buzz from the future.
Now, here's why I'm really split on this. So I think it works well enough in the story that they're telling. Even if it is in the beginnings, though, it doesn't. This character doesn't seem to fit the evil emperor mold, or even like because they've done it a few times awesomely in Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Not even the evil Buzz mold, which they made such a meal out of. I love the evil Buzz Lightyear episodes of Buzz Lightyear Star Command. That's what I'm saying. This is not quite.
This is basically just the mirror dimension of some Star Trek almost.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like getting the goatee and everything, just like Spock had like the whole like the goatee. That's literally the gag. Yeah. So the fact is, they've done evil Buzz stuff before, and it's been really cool. Regardless, so because of that, and it's just, and even taking evil Buzz off the table, just evil Emperor Zurg, you kind of need the evil in there. And this guy, I feel he made too compelling an argument to be like an evil Emperor. I felt.
Imagine the in-universe reception towards the Zurg twist. They probably feel the same way you have.
Yeah, it's just I love the plot. I love the fact that old Buzz has a very solid argument and well acted by James Brolin. That like, hey, we can. I've harnessed the crystallic fusion. I figured out a way to go back in time. I just need more of it so I can like target it better and like go specifically right before I can undo our biggest mistake and help all these people. So he makes a very compelling. The problem is that is such a great compelling argument. That's not evil at all to me.
I mean,
Which
it's misguided, obviously.
yeah, it's misguided. I don't get me wrong. It's a good villain thing. It's a good thing. It puts him in opposition with Buzz. But I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Plays well for our story, but in terms of like the grand looking at the franchise, like a guy who's going to wear a cape and be like a Darth Vader villain, evil emperor of sorts. I can't make that leap. And now bear in mind, at the end of this movie, I love how the Angus Mclean robot, Derek, is kind of like you think, okay, I was doing a gag at the end. I was hoping to see Zurg alive, and nope, then you see Zurg alive. Very end, there he is.
Yeah, after the Pixar and Disney logo.
Which was really clever by making people stay at a very end. That lamp turns off, that's when you leave.
And then you see him floating in space, and the eyes.
So that's the thing, Jacob. I mean, that's the other thing with the sequel territories. Like the only thing I could really see him, I would only need from this franchise and this story really is to see Zurg in that cape being evil, and that's still kind of a leap for him to go from like misguided to being evil emperor. So
I just think
that's the trouble I'm having with it.
I honestly just think it is pretty neat that they have like a legitimate villain again in these movies.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, like having no antagonist and everything still makes for good storytelling and everything, but having a straight up villain like this is a nice, funnily enough, a nice change of pace.
But again, it just kind of irks me a little bit that Zurg is awesomely portrayed here. Again, would have been better with the cape, but again, if they built to the cape like they built to the spacesuit at the very end, like the fully accurate, like literally what the toy wears, like I could buy that. But it just still is the fact that he's imposing, he's very villain-like, but again, it's more of like a philosophical difference. And again, he hasn't really been hurting anyone up to this point until he's just trying to essentially just kind of on a whim tries to kill Buzz because he's in his way. I mean, I don't know. It just this is it's the fact that what the guy under the suit represents just kind of like bothers me after we have that difference in opinion. I don't know.
It's like, yeah, it kind of does. It is kind of. Some people have actually found it kind of off-putting that Zurg is actually Buzz from that older Buzz.
And again, if it was like a purely evil Buzz, like if they played it like he got embittered when he left. If he got embittered when he wasn't, maybe a little bit of a power lust. If we made that, I mean, it still would have been a stretch to get him to that place. But again, if we just went full on like evil, and then it was like a reveal of like, I built an empire. Basically, I couldn't get I couldn't get back to Star Command, so I built my own, and I seized control over the galaxy. Maybe if they took that approach with it, I don't know. I don't want to rewrite the movie because I think what we have here is still. It's a great scene that they play together where Buzz makes the decision. I can't undo Izzy's life. I can't take away from the life Alicia built. I can't do that to these people. That's the time travel argument. It's really well acted. But again, it's the fact that we still have movie after that is kind of what kills that for me a little bit.
Yeah, it's like he's seeing what he basically he's literally seeing what he became.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm not sure we're saying enough about what he became, just given what. Because again, I'm on Zurg's side as well, more than I think I should be.
It's like, I mean, I don't mean. It's like you understand where he's coming from,
Yeah.
why he wants to do it, but then again, like, yeah, but you're also erasing potentially hundreds of or thousands of potential lives.
By the way, little Thanos-like, and I did like that.
Yeah, like father, like son.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Point being, I'm sure I'm not. I want to be clear. I'm not trying to like detract by saying, they could have done it eons better. But it's a sticky wicket, and I just think they were kind of stymied a little bit by. I think this was probably the biggest hesitation you would have had with like we're finally doing the Buzz Lightyear thing, and we want to tell the story our way, and it feels like they might have been like. We had to check certain boxes, and to check those boxes and kind of play with the themes they were playing with, it might have muddied the waters a bit.
And of course, when he first sees Zurg and sees future Buzz, and he's like, "Dad." It's because they had to play the whole like "I am your father" kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's like, no, I'm not your father. I'm you.
Yeah.
And he kind of did become a bitter old man.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. So So again,
and what reveals that is future socks.
Yep. Oh, by the way, how sad was it when I know he's in the future, but still, future Socks getting killed by Zurg, man. That was like no.
It's like traitor.
Oh God, that's what I'm saying. There's like a little flair of evil emperor there, so that's what I'm saying. If they did another one, perhaps we could.
It's like your one companion, the one thing. I mean, that truly shows you that how that Buzz is far gone. It's like the thing that Alicia gave him, he just mercilessly crushed because he helped his past self.
Exactly.
Even Socks like, I like this version of you better.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. If we tapped into the power mad thing, so the moral here being, a lot of times we're going to get tunnel vision over what we want and what we believe, and the fact that Buzz wants to matter and making a difference in the galaxy, and this Buzz just wants to matter. Period.
Which, funnily enough, is kind of the theme of tomorrow's episode of Obi-Wan that we're going to discuss.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Old Buzz says that he discovered the ship, so there has been an original Zurg.
Now, okay, Atomic Beast. That is a really good point. I didn't consider. Like, yeah, the suit was he basically he just took all the stuff. So yeah, I didn't
So
think about that.
I mean, that could be like the original evil Emperor Zurg,
That is
or and maybe who knows? Maybe the suit corrupted Buzz.
I mean, it's an interesting idea, and again, unfortunately, this is something like I really need. It makes me wonder if McLean was like just joking about that trilogy thing for his example, or if he was like me, like man, if he had his trilogy planned out. That's what I'm saying. Like if that's Atomic, that's a really good idea, and I kind of want it to be that way, but that would require a sequel. And I just hope that they would be able to secure that sort of thing and actually do that. And give them like you got to imagine, because again, Angus McLean did think about these things. He did factor in the show a little bit. You got to imagine just in general, even without factoring the series in, just factoring into like the toy design, the Zurg is like deciding not to go with the cape is a huge decision. Okay, because he has the ion blaster even without the little tube thing. The tube
I,
thing's for the toy.
I remember when actually speaking of which, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I remember watching the movie, and when the first time his arm went out and he did the flip and he had the three the 3-pronged blaster. I was like telling him, like, look out, he's got an ion blaster.
Yep.
It's like I didn't obviously shout it out loud in the theater because that'd been annoying, but
Sure.
I just said to him, said to myself, like, look out, he's got an ion blaster.
Do you think they go as far as to say old Buzz is dead, but the suit like came online again at the end?
I mean, who knows? Maybe.
I'm saying if they did that, I'd be really on board for that. Like that's how you get
maybe,
evil Emperor.
Or maybe the suit is Zurg requires the host to be active, like the symbiote or the One Ring has.
I mean, yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's sci-fi. I mean, it's kind of hard sci-fi, but still sci-fi nonetheless.
That's what I'm saying. I think the easier explanation would be like if it was kind of like they play like, especially where we're at now with things, play like a Boba Fett sort of thing, where it's like we got it, the real Zurg got his armor back, and we never see who's on the inside. So, by the way, in the conflict, though, I love they pulled from the inspiration for basically Zurg and the whole Buzz Lightyear Star Command idea period, where it was originally Toy Story started with basically almost like an episode of a 2D animated TV show in which Buzz would have stopped Zurg in like a James Bond opening and said, "Not today, Zurg," and they repurposed that into the video game opening of Toy Story 2. So the fact that he has this big moment where they're careening through space and he's like he bursts free like not today, Zurg. It's like it was really awesome.
And then he gets destroyed by the ion blaster and is blown in half.
Yep. Which by the way, but again, seriously, Buzz like ejecting from the ship and like the wings, man. The wings come. The prototype for the wings coming out. I love it.
Well, you know what they have to do if they do make a sequel, right?
What?
The belt.
Oh.
Unless that's a part of the TV series. Like,
no, they never did the belt in the TV series.
That's like unless like the reason is like it's part of the TV series, so they couldn't do that.
No,
or it was like a toy exclusive feature, but
right.
But that's the thing they should consider if they do a sequel. The belt.
they really should, because I mean, yeah, they're gonna do the belt. It could be like this. The sequel would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
It's like, well, Slot Pig, their standard issue.
God, that would be it'd be great. They would do all the force field stuff and let them go. It'd be awesome. So cool.
You're the gadget guy.
Yes. There's like a grappling line in it, and then magnets, and oh boy. Anyway,
that would be pretty neat if they did that.
Giving Buzz Lightyear utility belts.
Yeah, I just kind of realized in the movie, the toy literally just popped those magnets out of nowhere.
Well, no, they were in the side of the belt.
I know, it's like he pulls them. I know, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like the intersection, you're right about that. I'm just saying, like there's like little red handles in the belt, but again, you don't really see how that. You kind of hear the sound effect, but you don't see it.
It's like and the fact that they're strong enough to like scale the side of an elevator.
Yeah, that's complete illogical logic, mind you. That's like the whole like. If
I know. I mean, it's a movie and based about living toys, so logic kind of goes out the window already. So.
Oh, speaking of Toy Story 2, because we got to bring this up. So, of course, a lot of Easter eggs in the movie. Unfortunately, I still haven't been able to find the A130. I'm going to see the movie again. I probably won't be able to find it because I'm sure they made it subtle. But the Pizza Planet truck's in there. And
where was the Pizza Planet truck?
Well, the Pizza Planet truck, from what I heard, and I guess I kind of gleaned this, but I won't claim credit for it. It's got a lot. You're wrapped up in the story. You're not going to see it. You had the when Buzz is running, when he's stealing the ship. with socks when he's still in the spaceship. It's like around there somewhere, like the hangar or something when he's going around. I had the hangar like when he's like right outside the hangar. So in that space during that sequence, the pizza plant truck can be seen from what I've heard.
That was terrifying, and I regret having joined you.
Now, I still haven't found the A113, but the big thing though,
My guess for I was like the scene where like Sox was at the final finale, was like putting together the formulas and all that. That was my guess. That was my guess. What it was originally going to be, but I didn't see it.
Hey, you might be right. I don't know. So
I mean, heck, Brave has like the weirdest A113 of all of them.
No, actually, well, you haven't seen it. The Good Dinosaur might have that topped.
All right, then what is it?
Well, in The Good Dinosaur, it's basically spelled out with it's like it's kind of hard to describe. Like basically, it's kind of spelled out in kind of wood form, like Roman numerals.
Well, they kind of did that in Brave too.
Well, I could be. I'm sorry. I know it's like spelled out in some form. I assume Roman numerals, but it's like spelled out somewhere in the movie where like there are like a bunch of holes and like gophers essentially, or like kind of gopher-like things, and they're kind of there.
All right, but what were you saying before
Anyway,
that?
the cones. They did the cones from Toy Story 2.
Oh yeah.
Which I'll be honest, that's probably like the biggest stretch they made. Like, okay, we really went out of our way to do the cones from Toy Story 2, but they're cool though. It's like Cone of Silence stuff from Get Smart. I love the Cone of Silence and all the traffic cones from Toy Story 2. I was happy with it.
Let's see. Hold on. I've actually found a site that found like a list of Easter eggs for the A113.
All right, well, for your own sake, read off because I didn't describe that Good Dinosaur thing one at all, like good at all. So if you can find the Good Dinosaur one, there you go.
I don't. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find it on this actual site, but go on ahead with what you were talking about first.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I could be wrong. The A113 thing might have been like a musical note hit, by the way, too, which is really weird. But anyway, sorry.
I mean, that would be a really obscure.
I forget. I swear to God, I can't remember for the life of me if it was a musical note or if it was like spelled out in like a structure of some kind with A113. And Good Dinosaur was one of those two. Anyway. So, but yeah, I don't know, the cones were like kind of a fun thing. Also, we kind of voiced the kind of be like a mini trust exercise, so you had that going on there. I already kind of glowed about the wings thing. I love how that kind of inspires Buzz to upgrade the Space Ranger suit when he's in control of basically building the new Star Command, which is really nice. But by the way, so let's see. So just the end of the film. I'm sorry, right before the end of the film, the message of the film is, I think ultimately, with the reason he's in opposition against Zurg is we have to own our mistakes and our experiences. I think ultimately that's the biggest theme of the movie, and that's why Buzz does what he does throughout the film. I think that's like the big overarching thing with all of our characters, and the fact like we're flawed people. It's like, yes, the turnip crashed. Yes, people had it was a big, detriment. Like, can we go back in time and fix it? I mean, we shouldn't, because we need, those experiences like led to lives being lived, and we learned from our mistakes. And, that's ultimately what Buzz learned, I think.
Yeah, it is a good lesson to learn, of course.
Yeah. So the ending itself, I'm just gonna glow about this. Did you find the 13 yet?
No, like none of the sites I'm talking about. They list all the other kinds of Easter eggs, but
that's the thing. I looked for the A113 myself before when I couldn't find it either.
Not even the wiki has the A113 listed.
Yeah, so they haven't found it yet. All right.
I think the most recent one listed is from Turning Red.
Yeah.
Which itself actually had a Lightyear Easter egg.
Of course, they always have to. They have like an Easter egg for the next movie, so there's probably like an elemental Easter egg in there somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so the end of the movie, I love seeing that shuttle spaceship, basically the box that Buzz lands in Toy Story as a spaceship. Now here's a little bit of nostalgia for me. I still have on my shelf behind me right now from when I was a kid. I still have. They made basically a toy that is like the working shuttle that you can put like a little like 6-inch Buzz Lightyear into, and Woody if you wanted to, and you push buttons on the ship and it makes the noises and everything. It lights up, and one of my favorite toys as a kid in relation to Toy Story. So I have so much love for that box design and that shuttle and everything. So I have like Christmas ornaments of it. So when I saw this thing, I was like, oh my God. The one they put him exact, because I was thinking throughout the movie, it's like, it's like, I love the new, the tactile Space Ranger suit, but I'm looking at like, where's the jetpack and, where's the wrist mounted laser, which again, he kind of gets piece by piece as the movie.
You mean a laser that's a light bulb?
Yep, a little light bulb that blinks.
Of course, this one is an actual working laser.
Yeah, which is awesome. And again, I love seeing like the design, like the headspace, like the evolution of the design. But I'm saying like the little things, like if you look at Buzz's logo and what we have right now is our images from the first suit, and he has like a different logo. But by the end, they've completely modeled it so now it looks exactly like the toy. Like the suits are a little newer, a little limer in the green, and they have the same logo and they have the jetpack, and it just
And the pen.
yes, and the pen, everything. It looks great. So I just love the fact that he looks exactly like the toy, and we put him in the same ship as the toy, and we're mentioning the Gamma Quadrant. So basically, he's lining up to what exactly would be on the box. And probably the next adventure would be Zurg shows up, and they're going to stop Zurg, and that's what gets put on the toy before it's made when the movie happens. And it's just like, oh god. So that was a really touching, nostalgic image for me, seeing him in that ship and seeing Socks plug in there. It was like the coolest version of that it could ever be. Like in a perfect world, it would be the Star Command gang, like from the show, in that ship with him. But again, I won't split hairs over that because obviously it's not going to happen. At least not with this movie. Yeah, it was just so darn cool to see for me, man. It was like the perfect high note to end the movie on for me.
Yep, I can see what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't have the Buzz toy itself or any of the box.
yeah.
Unfortunately, but I did like to see like how like basically he did get his wish in reestablishing Star Command with the Space Rangers, and Burnside allowed him to.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And,
saying. It
and,
was
and,
really nice that he was able to rebuild it.
and Burnside didn't even have a problem with him choosing the rookies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they did save the day in the end. So what was he going to say? Like, no, not those guys.
He even seemed kind of glad that Buzz chose them.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, Jacob. It's just really nice that Buzz is able to kind of carry on the dream that he and Alicia had, and it's like the only thing he has to live for. He gets to continue the mission on. Basically, the mission logs will go on.
It's like
Nice.
he's not finishing the mission; he's continuing the mission.
Exactly. Yeah, which is kind of beautiful in a sense. Like it's the never ending mission now, and he's like going to make sure it's going to endure.
This is Star Command. For ongoing mission.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep.
And of course,
And Alicia and Izzy overcame her fear of space.
yeah, so it worked out really nicely in the end for everyone. And of course, Zurg lives to come back for another day, or in fact, like, okay, well, he'll be back in some form or another, hopefully with a cape.
Yep, hopefully with a cape.
Yeah, I imagine he'd be scaled down with the cape too. I don't imagine he'd give like a giant robot a giant cape, but man, I wouldn't. I would like to see that though. I gotta be honest, just like in concept art, at least, just to see what that would look like.
The evil Emperor Zurg with a cape.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I imagine if they did Zurg again, it'd be scaled down. It would be like, imagine this, okay? Imagine this. If, let's just say, again, I still kind of wish it would be someone would find the Zurg out and just modify it, find the Zurg mech. But imagine it was literally like a Darth Vader thing where old Buzz is now probably scarred up a little bit, so he's like wearing like like a scaled back version of the suit, so he has like these mechanized like Darth Vader because he kind of has to be, and he has like the cape. So he's kind of like he's basically it's like a robe, but it has like mechanical parts to it, like whatever you could salvage from what he had left.
Because we need to ask ourselves honestly: does Darth Vader really need the cape, like functionally?
Well, it's kind of symbolic.
Well, but like he doesn't need it functionally.
No,
like,
no.
Like it doesn't serve any function, but does it look awesome?
Yes, it does.
Exactly. It creates a memorable image, despite what to prove that Edna Mode is sometimes wrong.
Yep. See, clearly, Zurg had listened to Edna Mode, but
Edna Mode is sometimes wrong. Sometimes capes are absolutely necessary.
Yes.
They can create an imposing image of fear and dread.
All right. Well, I think we've gone on long enough. Is there anything else you can think of you want to talk about, Jacob?
I mean, not really. I mean, I think we pretty much just discussed everything we could here. I mean, I think we've discussed the things that they liked, the things that we possibly didn't like, and lamented, as I put in the description, lamented about the absence of the TV series.
Of course. And hopefully, one way or another, whether it be maybe like who knows down the line. Imagine if Angus Mclean was able to make 3 movies and like by like the second one we introduced the classic gang in some way, shape, or form. But again, I won't hold my breath for that. I'll turn as blue as Miranova if I hold my breath for that. But
or as red or red as well.
Yes, but
Hopefully, hopefully you won't explode and have to rebuild yourself though.
yes, yes. Yes, but regardless, because I think if they did a sequel, they would then have the marketing tie-in with Pizza Planet, so that's how you get the LGMs in there too. Regardless, I was very regardless, again, either way, maybe at some point they'll kind of realize, okay, what we have is substantial, and we can have like the animated one make a comeback as well. So anyway, so it'd be nice to see that show make a comeback in some way, shape, or form. Regardless, I think we ended up with something quite special here, and again, just kind of like at the bare minimum, even if people aren't thrilled with this movie for some reason, you know what? At the end of the day, it's always nice to have Buzz Lightyear kind of come back in any way, shape, or form, just to kind of make people smile, make people happy, and kind of do it in a way that we've never seen it before, and just see like, hey, Buzz Lightyear has. Again, it's like kind of like the old like we saw a what if brought to life in a spectacular way. Like, what if we saw the real Buzz Lightyear? We did. Never in my lifetime did I imagine we'd ever be able to do it, and we did.
It's like, and I know Tim Allen, and I know of course Tim Allen. It would have been nice if he didn't. I know he didn't have a cameo in this movie, but hopefully, maybe if they do make a sequel, they can have him cameo in that. I could guess for a reason that they didn't put him in here to not distract from the fact that Chris Evans is doing it here.
Right.
But now that he's established himself as this version of Lightyear, I think it'd be nice to have Tim Allen do a cameo.
I think the most we could hope for with that are one of two things. One, we end on an Al's Toy Barn commercial with the Buzz Lightyears. Two, the way we get Tim Allen in there is perhaps we have Bonnie watching the new Buzz Lightyear movie, and the toys are in the theater with her. I'm essentially wondering what that poster is with everyone but Buzz, so why not?
I mean, it could be like a reboot of the Buzz Lightyear film franchise.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah. All right, well, folks, thanks for tuning in. We want to thank Atomic Beast especially for kind of like meandering through it with us.
Thank you. Thank you also, Theme Park Priest, for your comments.
Yep, hope you see the movie soon. Again, we've spoiled it for you if you've stuck around, but hopefully that will not deter you. And yeah.
So is that everything?
I think that's everything, Jacob. There's only one thing we can say to round this out. A certain iconic phrase.
To infinity
and beyond.